In online games, the hook character has always followed the same gameplay loop. Hook a guy with your skill shot to pull them in, keep the guy there, kill the guy to death, and then rinse and repeat. This has been the formula for hook characters since Dota 1's Pudge. Blitzcrank, Thresh, Pyke, and even Roadhog all follow this formula to an extent. It's as if the hook character archetype is doomed to never be able to depart from the same gameplay loop. That was until Deadlock gave us Bebop. Bebop is a very weird character. Yeah, he is the game's hook character, but for what feels like the first time in hook character history, Bebop has a different approach to the formula. His backstory, character, his kit and intended gameplay style, and even his seemingly random ultimate all come together to challenge a long-established archetype, culminating in what I believe to be one of the most layered and best designs in the game. And before I get into the video, please note that the game is still in alpha and a lot of things are subject to change. And with that out of the way, let's get to know Bebop a little bit better. So the essence of his backstory is that he's a robot made from scraps. You can see from Bebop's current design that he's just made from kind of whatever. His fist is some sort of oversized billiard ball, he has a rope belt, and for some reason, he has this sort of samurai thing going on here. He and his creator, Miss Shelley, have a mother-son relationship, working the scrapyard during the day and then bonding over jazz music at night. And that's where we get to his name. Now, you might think that Bebop is just some random noise that robots make, and I won't tell you that you're wrong. See, the word bebop is actually a jazz term. In fact, it's a subgenre of jazz invented in the 1940s. It's a style popularized by musicians such as Charlie Parker, Fats Navarro, Thelonious Monk, and Max Roach, just to name a few. And bebop jazz is characterized by faster tempos, complex rhythms, on-the-fly improvisation, chord substitutions, intricate melodies, and solos. And if you don't know what any of that means, the best way I can explain it is that bebop jazz is like having every member of your jazz band doing their own thing while loosely following a rhythm, and it somehow all comes together in perfect harmony. Kinda like my Deadlock games, except we don't win at the end. The essence of bebop is crazy improvisation and individual expression, and this ties in with the character's design. In fact, the overarching beauty of Bebop's character is that his design, his backstory, and even his name all culminate into the theme of being pieced together with seemingly random parts to become something greater. And this theme resonates even more when you get to his kit. Let me tell you that when I first saw Bebop, I had no idea what I was supposed to do with it. And I've been playing games like Dota and League for years. The first spell I want to talk about is his hook. I know what that does. You launch it at an enemy, and if it hits, you pull them to you, displacing them and putting them in a very precarious situation. But like I illustrated earlier, hook characters are usually designed with the means to keep an enemy from running away after being hooked. Pudge has a toggleable slow and dismember, which is pretty much just bow and krill ult. Blitzcrank has his punch and his silence. Thresh has his flay and ultimate, and so on. But instead, Bebop has an uppercut, which you might think is like Blitzcrank's, but unlike his league cousin, Bebop's punch launches the enemy horizontally in addition to vertically. And my first thought is that this is counterintuitive design. I went through all that trouble to land a hook, only to send the guy I caught flying back to where I caught him from? But then you take a look at his third ability, and it all starts to make sense. With it, Bebop attaches a bomb to a target at melee range, and after a brief delay, it blows up to deal damage to enemies in the area around it. But a special property of the bomb is that it's perma-scaling. Every time the skill damages an enemy hero, it increases in power. Now, perma-scaling on a hook character isn't something out of the ordinary. Pudge gains strength, which increases his durability and attack damage when enemies die around him, and Thresh can collect souls to gain armor and AP indefinitely. But Bebop's perma-scaling is entirely offensive, and it's only tied to a single ability. This hints at the player that you're not supposed to build Bebop like a tank, unlike the two examples listed above. And as powerful as the bomb is, to attach it, you need the enemy to be in melee range. So this gives us a very unique gameplay loop for a hook character. You hook an enemy to you, and then slap a bomb on them, you punch them back towards their team, the bomb blows up, hopefully damaging another enemy in the process, and now your bomb is stronger for the next time you use it. You can rinse and repeat this gameplay loop until satisfied. And another interesting thing to note is that all of these abilities work on allies. You can hook teammates out of danger, or into danger if you're into that. You can punch allies to save their lives, or endanger them if you're into that. You can attach bombs to your allies and have them go in. And if that's not enough for you, you can also put your bombs on yourself and play like a terrorist. And you can string these abilities together in a lot of different ways, just like Bebop's description says. You can hook someone and attach a bomb to them, but you don't need to punch them away so your team can focus them down. You can hook someone and then bomb them, then punch them into your guardian or walker. You can bomb a trooper and punch the trooper into the enemy hero. Or if you're really sweaty, Hook, bomb, echo shard, bomb again, uppercut, hook again, refresher, bomb again, hook again, uppercut again, and hook again. Okay, maybe that's a bit overkill, but you get the point. These 3 abilities are actually good enough on their own. A hook, a get off me tool, and a delayed perma-scaling nuke, but when you put them all together, you get a level of synergy that's just insane and makes you think who the hell thought of this and why does it work so well. And then there's his ultimate, which is this big obvious Omega Laser Death Ray, but we'll talk more about that later. But Bebop's kit as a whole is incredibly innovative from a design perspective because he challenges the entire Hook character formula. And interestingly enough, this ties back to his name. See, the cultural significance of bebop jazz is that it was made as a departure from swing. And in contrast to bebop, swing is a subgenre that's structured and patterned. It's also slower because it was meant for dancing. At the time, it was considered cookie-cutter music, popular and adored by the masses, but unexciting from a musicality perspective. And a lot of younger jazz musicians, like the ones I mentioned earlier, got bored with it, and thus created the complex, crazy, improvisational subgenre that we now know as bebop. Bebop, the genre, was literally created as a response to the formulaic nature of swing, and this parallels how Bebop, the Deadlock hero, departs from the stereotypical Hook character design. Just take a look at all the Hook characters from similar games. Pudge from Dota 2 hooks you and then unleashes his stench and then devours you to prevent you from escaping. And if you go his rot build, he hooks you into his massive rot at melee range to prevent you from escaping. Blitzcrank from League hooks you, uppercuts you, and then silences you to prevent you from escaping. Thresh, also from League, hooks you, flays you backwards, and summons the Pentagon to prevent you from escaping. Pike hooks you, dashes forward, and stuns you to prevent you from escaping, but real Pike players know that he's not a Hook character. Roadhog now hooks you into a trap which slows you, preventing you from escaping, or, you know, just straight up kills you. Can't run away if you're dead. Bebop hooks you, puts a bomb on you, and thrusts you back at your team with said bomb attached like some sort of insane trebuchet. And while he does have his uppercuts tier 3 upgrade, which resets his hook cooldown upon landing a successful uppercut, allowing you to pull back the guy and play like a traditional Hook character if you choose to, this upgrade isn't integral to his gameplay. The design is crazy, but it's different, and a departure from the Hook character archetype that so many of us have already seen before. And by departing from the predictable Hook character gameplay loop, Bebop actually fixes a problem that is intrinsic to Hook characters. And he does this with his ultimate. Upon first glance, you might think that Hyper Beam is a pretty random addition to Bebop's kit. I mean, it's a channeled ult, so you can't really use any ability during it, and it doesn't really work with his hook. But the thing is, Bebop's theme isn't landing his hook. His theme, as we've established, is having a bunch of individual abilities that work on their own. And Hyper Beam serves as Bebop's answer to the question, what if you can't land your hook? See, one of the long-standing issues with the Hook character formula is that your effectiveness would be tied to your ability to hit your hooks. A Pudge or Blitzcrank that cannot land their hooks consistently would be objectively less useful than ones that could. And this created a problem in itself. You need to play the Hook character to get a better feel for landing your hook. But if you don't know how to land the hook consistently, you are objectively putting your team at a disadvantage because your hero is built entirely around landing the ability. Now, I'm not saying those characters are completely useless if they can't land their hooks. For example, Thresh has his Lantern, Pudge has his Shard and BKB Piercing Stun, and Blitz has a Silence, but you're not picking these characters for those traits because there would be other characters that would do them better. You're picking these characters with the intent of securing your team more kills. And if you can't do that, then you failed at your job and probably should have picked someone else. Thus, if you can't land your hooks consistently, you're going to get flamed by your teammates, acquire trauma, and then probably never play the Hook character ever again. Now, if Bebop didn't have his Hyper Beam, he would run into the same pitfall. He needs to land his hook consistently to safely attach his bombs, otherwise he'll be chancing things by attaching bombs to troopers, teammates, and himself just to get stacks. I mean, sure, you have the best gun in the game when it comes to securing souls simply due to the lack of projectile travel time, but that's not a very big contribution. And that's where Hyper Beam fits into Bebop's design. It's a giant purple death ray that's simply too big to miss, thus by using it properly, you're delivering value to your team by dealing damage to the enemy or using it as a zoning tool. And the relative simplicity of using Hyper Beam ensures that you're always capable of delivering value to your team regardless of whether you're able to land their hook or not, mitigating the issue of having a Bebop that can't land a hook to save his life. The Bebop player gets to practice landing his hooks, while his team doesn't have to worry too much about him contributing nothing. And you might think that having two different playstyles in Orbital Laser Bebop and Bomb Bop is bad game design, but I would argue it also makes Bebop a lot more flexible than a lot of characters, specifically ones that have one-dimensional playstyles like Abrams. And if anything, Having a character with two different viable playstyles makes the most sense on Bebop, considering he's the character that's literally thrown together from a bunch of scraps. And once you consider all of these factors, hopefully you're able to look at Bebop's kit and appreciate just how much Ice Frog cooked with this character. His design is a giant middle finger to formula and playing in a specific way, much like his namesake. And that's why I think Bebop's hero design is one of the most brilliant in the game. And whether you agree with me or not, let me know in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed listening to me yap about Bebop, and subscribe if you want more content like this. Also, let me know which hero you want me to check out from a design perspective next. That's all for now, and Ace out.